Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tanner's Favorite Things. I'm Tanner Knight, and today we're going to do a little bit of a story time. I know that we usually focus on rock gear here. We have amplifiers and guitars behind me, and of course I love all of that stuff. And this is actually a good place to mention, I don't show you all this stuff to flex. I'm not trying to show off the fact that I have all this gear. I try never to take it for granted. I really feel lucky to be able to own some of the gear that people lust after pretty much all of their lives, and I just so happen to be in a position where I can acquire that gear, and I feel justified in showing it to you because I love it so much. I figure that you probably will too. And although today's topic does revolve around the topic of music, we're not going to be talking about gear or guitars or amps or my favorite things in general. Instead, I'd like to talk to you about why I quit opera. That might sound like kind of a clickbaity title, but it's true. If you don't know, I used to sing opera for about 7 or 8 years before I transitioned into a more professional type role. And I've always maintained that a career in music really set me up personally for a career in CAD administration or IT support, which is kind of what I've been doing the past 8 or 9 years after I quit opera. But I've actually transitioned into a new career again just recently. At the beginning of 2021, I started a new career at a harvester manufacturer called Firefly Automatics here in Salt Lake City. This is a huge departure for me. I haven't worked in an office setting for years, and although I do think that I've been very productive in my previous roles, I do think that just working in an office environment where you're interacting face-to-face with your coworkers every day, it really is a complete shift for me. I've really embraced the challenge and I've had a good time with it so far, but this whole transition has got me thinking about my previous career transition, which was, like I mentioned, singing opera into a more professional type role. So I went to school for opera. I have not only a bachelor's degree in music performance, but I have a master's degree in opera performance, which to me seems like the most useless degree on the planet at this point, but I guess it's all hindsight. I did it. I was completely committed to a career in opera, and I don't regret any of those decisions that I made. Like I said, I do believe that I developed a lot of skills that translate well into a lot of different roles based on that career in music. So after spending 6 or 7 years in college learning this craft of opera performance, very narrow field I understand, but I was revved up to give it my all and see what I could do in that career. And for a few years, it was totally fine. The way the opera career works is that you usually go to some sort of university program where you hone your craft, make some connections, and then from there you go into this type of opera house or this type of opera house. In most cases, there's like a young artist situation where you have a group of younger singers who are put together to further hone their craft while working with a professional organization. For me personally, I worked with Central City Opera out of Colorado, as well as Utah Opera and Palm Beach Opera, all in kind of a young artist type of context. These experiences were really, really valuable to me, and some of the really treasured moments of my life came from that period. But after that young artist period, you have to make the leap into the main stage type of roles. And yes, I did have some success getting some smaller and larger main stage roles after my young artist apprenticeship era. But it was difficult. There was nothing easy about finding work, and it was always a struggle knowing whether I was going to be able to work next month or if I was just going to be taking auditions and hoping for the best. Well, I gave it my all for a good many years singing opera, and at the end, my voice practically quit on me. And that's really what pushed me out, is that my body physically could not carry on in a career in opera because this whole time I was telling myself, keep going, keep going, keep going, but deep down I really knew that the business of opera was crushing my soul, and I wanted nothing to do with it ultimately. It took my body shutting my voice down for me to realize this is not the career for me. And I tried taking many lessons, reworking my voice, but for whatever reason there was a mental block that was making it very difficult for me to produce the sounds that I used to just produce freely. So singing became very difficult, it became very frustrating. My body physiologically would not let me go on in that career. So you may think that once my body decided that I was done singing opera, that it was all easy sailing from there. Just pick another career and have at it. But unfortunately, that's not how it went. I spent a good 8 months to a year applying to every single job that might leverage the skills that I developed in opera or a career in performance. This would be any career in teaching or mentoring youth, teaching anything in a way is a form of performance. You have to be engaging, you have to understand your topic and perform to your students, and I figured that might be a career that I could go into. I ultimately spent that year substitute teaching at an elementary school, and although teaching children is very fulfilling, it just wasn't a career choice for me, and I realized that pretty quickly. So luckily, I was thrown a life vest by one of my close friends who offered me a position at a company called SolidBox, and I worked for SolidBox for quite a few years until that evolved into a new company called Converge, where SolidBox basically merged with another company to form a larger sales entity called Converge, and we focused on providing infrastructure support and CAD support for the designers and engineers who use the SOLIDWORKS software. Luckily, my role with SolidBox was more of a creative one at first. I wasn't expected to understand SolidWorks or the CAD industry right from the go, which is essential because it gave me time to learn that industry and take that industry in piece by piece and understand it in a more organic way. Well, all during my time at SolidBox and with Converge, I was asked to be a part of the marketing efforts for those companies. That involved creating videos, creating blog content, and just generally being a voice, an expert in the field that we were trying to target. So after another 7 or 8 years with SolidBox and Converge, I finally decided to make another leap and transition into a more marketing-specific career here at Firefly Automatics. So this new career will obviously require a lot of me here at first, so these videos might be fewer and far between for a little bit until I get my feet under me, and hopefully you can find something in there that you can relate to. The whole point of this story is that even though you may feel like your sights are set on one thing, being able to pivot is really something that can come in handy. Of course, we all have intentions on sticking to the plan, but just like Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Yes, I may not be 100% qualified for these opportunities right from the get-go, but I just try to keep a good attitude, learn as much as possible, and eventually I'll be able to provide value in any different number of aspects for this new opportunity. So thanks for watching. I know this was slightly different than what we normally do here, but I like to keep everybody informed about what's going on with the channel, and of course this major life shift of a new career will influence the development of this channel as well. So thanks for watching. If you have any specific questions about my career in Opera or my career in CAD and IT infrastructure, then I'd love to field any of those questions. Please feel free to leave them in the comments. If you like this content, feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.